Welcome back to A Moment in History. I'm 𝙎𝙐𝘽𝙎𝘾. Well, in this episode, let's explore one of the most important and understandably controversial men in the history of the United States. He was in every sense both a hero and a complicated figure. His contribution to the formation of the United States was vital, and he was a public critic of slavery, yet he famously held possibly hundreds of slaves in his Monticello estate and possibly even committed adultery and fathered children with one of them. Still, he was one of the most influential figures in American history. He was Thomas Jefferson, founding father and third president of the United States. Like a few of his fellow founding fathers, Jefferson was a red-blooded Virginian, born in 1743 and raised there in a somewhat wealthy family. As a young man, he entered the political sphere of the British colonies as a member of the House of Burgesses. Now, also like men who would become his fellow founding fathers, Jefferson became caught up in the revolutionary spirit of the colonies in the 1770s and also became one of the most vital proponents for liberty. At the age of 33, he oversaw the creation of one of the most important founding documents of the United States, the Declaration of Independence, of which he was one of the signers. Now, several years earlier, Jefferson had wed a widow by the name of Martha Skelton. The couple remained together for 10 years before Martha's death in her early 30s. During this time, Jefferson also conducted the building of his famous mansion at his Monticello estate. Well, Jefferson would serve in various roles at the beginning of the nation. He was mighty with the pen as a member of the Continental Congress, and in 1785, after the war, he would replace Benjamin Franklin as the American ambassador to France. This role would actually set the stage for a fierce political rivalry between Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton. Now, Jefferson was friendly to the French notions of rebellion, and keep in mind, right at this time, France's Revolution has taken place. It happened in 1789, while Hamilton was more privy to the English style of government for the new nation. Now, Jefferson is perhaps the most famous for his role later in life, as he served as the third president of the United States after John Adams. During his administration, he continued to solidify the growth of the young Union and executed perhaps the most important financial transaction in the country's history, of course, the Louisiana Purchase with France. His goodwill with France paid off as he doubled the nation's size in the early 1800s. Now, Jefferson was indeed a controversial figure. There's ample evidence, though it's not 100% solidified, but it is pretty sure that he fathered illegitimate children through one of his many slaves at Monticello. Though he was a critic of slavery, he did not personally rid his household of the practice, as some sources indicate that he had scores of slaves during his lifetime. Still, Jefferson was a mighty figure in the foundation of the country, and one of his most influential acts was establishing the precedent for religious liberty in America, which established the protection of the church from government interference in the separation of church and state. Thanks so much for joining me once again for A Moment in History. For more historical content, subscribe and click that bell to get notifications for when our next Moment in History comes out. Until next time, I'm 𝙎𝙐𝘽𝙎𝘾.